Wait, you live show this? Like you live broadcast it?
Yeah, I was going to do a little intro. So, welcome one and all to Flat Earth United. This is the Gossip Corner. Been itching to broadcast for ages as we've been slagging off all and sundry behind the scenes, but Stephen was definitely dead against it, and finally after about an hour I've convinced him to let us broadcast some of this, so hopefully it'll still stay as salacious as it has been off air. We shall see. Although there is some good flat earthy stuff. Actually, that would probably be better because you've gone through it with each person that's joined this Skype call, Stephen. Why not give it to the audience? You know, you've got bits of information that I'm sure you can edit.
That's not gossip. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I just don't like sounding like a broken record, you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Okay.
Have you heard my interviews? Really?
I've listened to most of your interviews.
Because I can be repetitive. I can be a broken record. I can repeat myself. I can be redundant. I can say the same thing over and over.
Actually.
You guys need to. I get why you need to, but I like to say something and then move on to the next thing.
Well, it's tempting, but eventually people will keep asking you.
I feel you. I'd be like Eric Dubay and just reference them to a video, you know?
Well, it's nice, but sometimes you can't get away with it.
Or you can just reference them to iFirst. Same thing.
There you go.
Maybe
Go
if
to
I lead you with a
say
couple
my
of
name.
questions then,
Welcome,
Stephen.
Welcome to the Banhammer.
What have you been looking at recently, Stephen?
Just, I want to correspond with people like David and sort of work out the conditions on the path of the sun when it's over the ocean going towards the land as per, you know, different than mine, you know, as like over the land going towards the ocean on the west versus the east coast. And I don't know. I'm not very coherent right now, apparently.
Well, so your purpose is in order to see if you can use the sun and the moon to try and track or predict what's happening here when it comes to the weather. Is that basically it?
Relationship.
Well, it's kind of obvious, but you need to use your geographical location and the features, you know, like mountains and valleys and deserts around you, you know, that kind of stuff. It's basically you can gauge how much of a storm that you'll have coming in and how far it'll make it, or, you know, what time of the day it'll be above you and what time of the day the sun will be above it, you know, causing rain.
So your theory is that this is the reason we have weather, basically? That's the push-pull of the sun and the moon?
The heat and the cold from the sun and the moon, the push and the pull. You know, that would be what's causing the wind and the, you know, it's like everything's interacting with another, you know, it's all system force.
I know Mark would be down with that, the whole system thing. But what is it that mainstream says is what causes the weather?
You guys have any idea? I'll leave it up to you for a minute.
What mainstream
says
exactly? Sparkle dust and no. When it comes to the weather, is caused, it's actually caused by a number of things, and these things still don't really change that much in enclosed or a flat system versus a globe. You've got the underwater conveyor system. Actually, the underwater conveyor system that moves the oceans around is so underrated, and most people don't have any idea the amount of energy those things transfer around.
People are going to think like underwater conveyor system. That sounds like some machines underground or something.
Well, I mean, it looks like, regardless of how you look at my model, even mainstream science says that the water flows like some giant conveyor belt that goes around the world, and it transfers huge amounts of colder and warmer water, no different than air systems. And
doesn't the sun go around the Earth like a conveyor belt? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just it. In the flat model, the sun takes a nice circular path around as well. You combine that with the jet stream, which is like the underwater conveyor system, but for air our atmosphere at high altitudes.
That's something else I've been thinking about, is just a sort of equal and opposite reaction that you get, sort of like the wake of a boat. You know what I mean? Sort of you know what I'm saying? Sort of a vortex.
Sure.
Right, like a triangular spreading of the water on either side.
Right. That's how I try and think of the movements of the sun and the moon, or what they cause, at least.
Got it.
Well, mainstream says that the weather is caused by seasonal changes caused by the Earth going around the sun.
Well, that would be the sun going, you know.
Yeah, the seasonal changes, yes. But if we're talking about just the, you know, on any given day, just how energy is transferred, it's a combination of the sun, the underwater conveyor system, the jet stream, and then for me, you know, I'll throw in the magma system a little bit for the heck of it. Why not?
Check this out. I just went into Google and wrote, what causes weather? Let me read this to you. Pretty funny. And I bet this has been changed recently. So my entry is what causes weather into Google. Here's the quote. Daily changes in the weather are due to winds and storms. Seasonal changes are due to the revolution of the Earth around the sun. Because the Earth is round and not flat, the sun's rays don't fall evenly on the land and oceans. Why would that ever be written in an entry on Google? It's nothing to do with flat Earth at all. I just typed in simply what causes weather, and they put flat Earth right in there.
Because it's child's play for, people who like cartoons, adults who like cartoons.
Seems
because
like they put that in there.
It's all ridiculous.
It's like
adults
programming.
who think that, the sun's temperature is constant when, you can ask them, is the temperature from a heating lamp constant? If you go closer to it, is it going to be hotter? If we go further away, is it going to be colder? So it's not exactly constant.
DITRH on the move.
Meanwhile, in Gotham City.
The flat man.
The whole, the weather, the season proves the globe, which is such nonsense. The whole thing, the explanation of how, when we're tilted away, the amount of sun rays hitting the Earth are spread over a bigger area, therefore, the energy, the whole official story is nonsense because the energy changes all day long. At sunrise on June 21st versus noon on December 31st, it's hotter at sunrise.
Connection breakdown a little bit.
Let me turn off my camera.
Although we like you driving.
Better?
Think so.
Is that better?
Yeah,
yes.
that's better.
Can you hear me now?
Say all that again.
So when when it's December 21st, the northern hemisphere is tilted away from the sun, so the amount of sunlight hitting us is spread over a vaster area, and that's why it's cold. Right, globalist? Right, Globey? Okay, so that's what they tell us. But that's bullshit, because any day of the year when the sun is rising, that's the worst angle ever. And so on June 21st, 1 minute after the sunrise, the angle is far more severe than the winter, than during the day, any day of the year. So if you compare how the sun feels 5 minutes after it rises over the horizon on June 21st, and then feel the heat at noon on December 21st, it's greater on June 21st when it's down at the horizon, which is literally a single-digit angle versus, 45, 50 degrees up in the winter. That proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it's not the fucking angle that is causing the temperature difference, it's the distance. Right? Because we're told, because of the low angle of the sun during the winter, it's spreading its light out. Well, when the sun is literally a couple degrees off the horizon, it's spreading its light out massively, but it's still hotter than solar noon on December 21st or whatever.
Right.
And that, if the season thing was true, it would be freezing at sunrise and sunset and hot in the middle of the day every day of the year.
Mainstream says that the sun heats the Earth in different parts of the atmosphere of Earth, and then that creates winds.
The uneven heating of the Earth causes wind. That's what they're saying.
Exactly.
No, I don't 100% disagree with that. I mean, there are localized wind, will cause a breeze. Like when the land is hot and the water's cool, you get a thermal breeze pulling off the water. But these jet streams that these flights are catching at high altitude and that are going a different direction at a low altitude, that's a whole other mechanism. I think Mark Fishbump is doing that.
Does fire create wind? I know the sun is probably not fire, but we're talking about heat. Fire does create wind.
It'll create tornadoes, fire-nados.
Yeah, heat.
You've seen those.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's heat from the sun and the sun being over. That would make sense to me.
Now,
a combination of effects.
You guys are aware of the NextRad and the digital cell towers causing tornadoes, right?
No, but I've heard so many things about those towers.
You remember the Joplin bash of tornadoes that just fucking wiped out, the
Missouri?
Midwest?
Yes.
Yeah, that happened right after we switched from analog to digital television, and the digital those towers putting out all that energy caused the tornadoes. We have far more tornadoes now than we used to, and it has to do with the digital bandwidth that we're using.
But why Joplin? Why Joplin?
Well,
Like what?
Well, you need the right conditions also, and then you fire it up with these towers. Have you guys watched the Weather Wars 101, talking about the atmospheric liquid? Where they're pumping all the water into the atmosphere and then energizing it with the towers, with the NextRad towers.
No, but I've heard that those towers supposedly can be activated to basically boil us alive in our own skin. So whether or not that's true,
they show it, and it lines up with where the fucking where these plants are. These power plants that are throwing vast amounts of liquid into space, and then the debunkers go, where are they going to get that water? There's not enough water to do that, and that's because they don't know about primary water. Literally, the firmament below. That's what they're tapping into. There's endless water. It's the water Gaddafi tapped into. They can easily do that. We're taught that the water. This is for you, Stephen. If you're going to do the weather, we're taught that the water, the way the planet moves water around is the primary water system is evaporation, condensation, and rain, or the whole cycle. But that's secondary water. That's just the secondary part. The major movement of water is primary water. Primary water is what caused the Great Floods, if there ever was one, which I believe there was. Primary water is these rivers of water that sometimes come out of the sky unexplained. It's the oceans above and below. I see us, whether it's a little dome or an endless dome or whatever, it's literally underwater, above and below.
primary water sounds like a form of the theory of abiotic oil, just self-replenishing.
Primarywater.org. Check it out. And that's why, like, people in California are only allowed to dig up to 300 feet, because if they go, 500 or 600 feet in some area, they'll hit primary water and they'll have endless water.
Right, but of course, then people are told that there's a drought.
It's literally equivalent to Tesla giving out free energy. If you had free electricity and unlimited water, we don't need the elite anymore.
Right, and meanwhile, we're buying water, bottles of water.
Right.
In the BHA, BPA, or whatever bottles.
No shortage of land, no shortage of water, no shortage of energy. It's all fucking nonsense.
There's a shortage of truth. That's pretty much it. Well, this has been
amazing.
It's been sad, but yeah.
You're sad.
The trolling begins.
You're sad.
It's troll DITRH takes effect.
Hold on a second.
So's your face.
Yeah. What bounces off me sticks to you, or however that goes.
Stupid head.
Yeah. I'll just keep saying yeah.
I mean, we were on a real roll. We were genuinely gossiping about people. And then when I said we were going to go live, we had to sort of all agree that none of that's airable.
What?
So
if you want to
gossip, it was just talking about the stuff that just recently happened in Flat Earth when Flat Earth blew up. I mean, literally blew up.
But,
we're okay. But
Flat Earth blew up, and guess what? The mess has been cleaned up. It's gone, and I forgot about it. I mean, it's not.
Sorta.
Well, wait,
I mean,
I saw that Matt put up a video. Carly was telling me about it. She spammed the shit out of him. He took it down, but then he put it back up again.
No, he didn't put it back up. He used the same thumbnail. It's a different vid.
Right.
All right. What was the gist of his video?
Which one? The one yesterday or the one today?
The one that he took down.
The one that he took down is that. Okay, you want me to say it? I'll get you guys all.
You go ahead,
now.
and I'll chime in if necessary.
The gist of it yesterday.
Am I going to like this?
You won't be able to see it. It's been taken down.
You won't be able to see it, but I'll give you the gist of it. The gist of it is him taking an hour to basically say that he is Flat Earth God,
Jesus as well.
and Jesus, and that all should bend the knee and pay homage to him, even though he can't tell us exactly what he wants. And he literally did that for an entire hour. I thought he was slowing down at the end until the very end, where he literally did his impression of Del and Antonio duking it out during one of their hangouts with full-blown Scottish and British accents. Matt Powerland. Yeah, the thing yesterday. Did you catch it?
Well, he was also talking about ODD as well, and talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's how it opened.
It opens with I couldn't make this up. Honestly, I couldn't write this if I wanted to.
It seemed like we were watching a TV show.
Yeah, it opened with he and his wife in a hotel. His wife's in a hotel in a towel, and she is calling background services. I don't know if it was actual law enforcement, but she was trying to dig up, pretending to be an employer, trying to
hire ODD.
Trying to hire ODD. And trying to see to what extent his criminal background went.
Right.
And it was shameless. It was awful.
Wait, and they really couldn't. They really couldn't tell him everything. They just said that there was some kind of a charge. It was a while ago. I don't remember the whole gist of it.
You guys saw ODD's video, which he basically just depowered them. Now it's over, and nobody gives a shit, right?
Yeah, and it took some balls. I mean, my hat was completely off. It's like totally came clean, told every single detail, laid it all out there, and at the end was you just think, that's how you deal with this kind of crap. You just kind of go, this is exactly how it happened. Hold nothing back, pull no punches, tell it how it is. And I was like, fuck yeah, Odd. That's how you do it.
And he also even told stuff we didn't even know about him that were other things that he'd done when he was very young that weren't so savory. And he also said that he himself will never leave his lady, he calls his, basically common law wife, and her son from a previous relationship, and his son will never be fatherless. And his son has not who's the older of the two, has not gotten any trouble. And it's as if he understands the buck stops here with me. I did what I did. I'll never do it again.
And he's a better person because of it. He's grown, and you can respect it. It's no issue. He's now a good guy. I mean, we've only seen the good side of him, and that he grew up. He did some stupid shit as a kid. Who didn't? I didn't get caught.
If I had to take an educated guess, I would say that Matt pulled the video because ODD did the same thing to him that he did to someone that trolled him, because Matt posted ODD's mugshot, and you're not supposed to do that. That goes against the rules when it comes to YouTube. You do not get to post people's mugshots.
I don't think that that Matt grew a conscience and pulled it because of that, due to the fact that he came out with a secondary video about 12 minutes long where he continued to say bad things about ODD. So,
but then in the second video, he tried to like, that whole I forgive you ODD.
I forgive you ODD.
Yeah, and it's like, dude.
Here's the thing. Matt's videos for the last 18 months or longer are unwatched. They're just unwatchable. They're unwatchable.
He was lashing out. Honestly, David, you would have enjoyed yesterday's. I mean, it was priceless. He was It was like a man in a room just swinging wildly in all directions.
Carly spammed every single comment with ODD's video.
Oh, it was.
That's very, very good that she did that.
Yeah. And, wait. So ODD, I know he's been like laying low the last couple of days because he's been pondering this for a while, and he's been feeling really bad, and he finally did it. And I know that he was feeling really bad, so I was messaging him last night. And I'm like, hey man, good job. You totally depowered them. Nobody gives a shit. And he's like, oh man, thanks and everything.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about going live tonight. We still might do, and talking about the billboard on ODD. And he's like, yeah, cool. And he said, oh hey, let's do it tomorrow night. And I said, awesome. I go, I've never done a hangout with a rapist. This should be fun.
Wow.
And then there was nothing. And there was silence. And I go, and I'm like, too soon, And then he replies back. He's like, wow. LOL.
No, we're not laughing at rape at all. That just was a very funny comment to do.
And it's something about people like ODD that you can just immediately tell that he's a good guy. And when he comes out with stuff that's bad, you can detect the sincerity. It's not like he seems like he's an arsehole that's suddenly having to cover up his tracks. He just seems like a normal guy. And when you find out people have got skeletons in the closet, you go, yeah, so what?
Well, at one point... go ahead. Sorry.
He was just a rude kid to an older woman. It's not like he was an older guy hitting up on a 14-year-old, which is, I think, far worse. But he admitted, he's like, I fucked up. I was an idiot, and now I'm a better man because of it.
Within Flat Earth, he did a couple of videos, I think, with Payday Monsanto against Mark and I back around a year ago. And it kind of came out of the blue because I'd interviewed him, and I thought he and I were on good terms. But all of a sudden, it's like a light switch went off, and he started putting some things out there. And
that was Eric's doing.
He himself has told us it's because Eric influenced him and convinced him that we were shills, and he bought into it. Well, and on his own, no one asked him to stop saying that stuff. On his own, he decided, wait a minute, I think I've been lied to by Eric. I think I've been tricked. I think I've been used. Yeah. And he came to us and apologized and, changed his tune. And now some haters are saying we paid him off to remove those videos.
Whatever.
I think that's fairly typical of people in Flat Earth. You come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat, and your mind is fractured. And suddenly you go, my God, I've been subject to huge amounts of deception. Suddenly you see deception everywhere you look. So it's not surprising that people who have perhaps led you along that path, you start to look at them first. So people like ODD go, well, who's around me? Shills are everywhere. And then you quickly mature through that. And ODD, he's a veteran now. He's come through the other side of that paranoia. That's the word. And it is just paranoia.
Yeah, and he had no fear of Eric and any repercussions. Eric did go out against him and said some things and made some moves, but ODD basically just held tough to his belief that, Patricia and Mark are good people doing things their own way in Flat Earth. And I said. David, what are you doing?
Is that a car?
Mute your microphone there, West Skate.
Hey, shut the fuck! Don't call that an insult.
I don't know. Dave's swearing
See,
a bit more than normal.
If it was Wes, he would actually leave the camera on and it would turn into another Blair Witch episode.
Oh my God. His is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That man's got production value. Well, and again, to the people that are listening to this, in case you actually do release it, don't think that Eric is above this. Look what he did to Jaren with the whole BOB thing.
Yes, exactly.
Jaren was one of the...
with the Bitcoin and Jaren.
Yeah. I mean, Jaren was one of the only people in contact with rapper B.O.B. And then B.O.B. drops contact. And Jaren all of a sudden, after a while, says, hey, man, what's up? And B.O.B. said, Eric told me you were a complete shill and I wasn't supposed to talk to you. And it's like,
exactly
come on.
Right, exactly it. Everyone's a complete shill in his book except himself. How can that be?
Yeah.
Well,
Matt, sorry, go ahead.
Like I was saying earlier, I sort of believed Eric just like anybody else until I went into some of your videos. I think it was one of the old ones with Jonathan.
Yeah.
And I just listened to you guys for a few minutes and I was like, oh, come on. These guys, they're just talking shit,
We're just guys.
Yeah, they're just guys. We're just people. We're all just people.
To date, and I know we're coming up on, well, it's not quite 2 years old of that thing, the official wall of shame that Eric put up, where there's 14 people on it, and I am number one on that thing with a bullet. I had never said, that was before I got into the whole anti-Semitic thing. I mean, I was as nice as I could possibly be, and he hated me. And he still hasn't updated that list. And
I also noticed, speaking of anti-Semitic things, I noticed Math in his second video, the one that's not pulled down, that mostly was about ODD, he started talking about IPS and saying that, oh yeah, I can tell he's one of those Jews. He's got that sound of the voice of a Jew and those producers and all of that. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, hasn't Math been speaking out against Eric for talking against the Jews because that's the wrong thing to do and calling him anti-Semitic? And now Math is using that same sort of way of speaking about IPS. It just doesn't seem right or genuine to me at all that you're playing both ends against the middle, really.
Yeah, it was not good. Hey, could I address real quick, since I don't think I've ever done on air, and I know eventually, it could clear up a thing, that whole me ditching him?
Yes, I just was going to ask you about that when Math has said that you stood him up in Boulder, Colorado. And I heard this story from you a long time ago. And when I heard Math tell that story lately, I said to myself, that's not what happened. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, okay, why are you bringing this up 2 years after the fact? Literally 2 years. Here's what happened. Okay, in the beginning, yes, I was one of the few. There were not a lot of people doing this, and Matt was in contact with Eric, and Matt was in contact with me. Matt was literally the first guy to contact me during the clues. He was trying to text me during clues 2. You guys know this story. And then he finally called me at clue 8 and said, why haven't you been returning my texts? And I go, because I don't own a cell phone. So I don't know what you've been texting to me, but it's all gone into nowhere. And he was real friendly at first. Everything was great. And he had an idea, which was he wanted to come out. This was, I'm going to do as close to the actual thing as I can, which is he wanted to fly out to Denver, told me he was going to fly out to Denver, buy a loft. Denver. I didn't know anything about the guy, so I had no idea what was going on. Buy a loft in Denver, and he wanted to do some performance art there because Colorado weed was legal, one of the first states, and he wanted to get everyone super baked and then introduce a flat earth thing. And then he wanted me to do a performance art piece with him where he rolled me out with kind of like a Rod Serling suit. He said I sounded like Rod Serling.
Wait, hold on a minute. DITRH is making too much noise, and I can't hear this fascinating story.
Yeah, he's cooking up his crack. Just put yourself on mute, David.
Oh my God.
Pipe down, man.
David's on.
Seriously.
Maybe he's eating Rice Krispies. Very snap, crackle, and pop.
Anyway,
Continue.
so that's what was going to happen. I was going to do performance art with math in Denver, right? And it shouldn't be a big shock. I mean, he's done stuff with Jake Gibson, musical stuff. So it's not a big stretch. And shortly after that, before he came out, he started contacting me. And again, I've got the emails. I am not going to show them to people unless it actually gets that far, and it's not going to. But I've still got the emails.
Would you be willing to email anybody the emails if they really didn't believe it?
If they don't believe me, don't do it just out of curiosity's sake. But if they wanted me to shoot the email that Matt sent to me, sure. I've got like 5 or 6.
Okay.
But
People often say they've got something, but they never show the proof.
I've got it. In fact, hang on real quick. In fact, I can even tell you the date.
I believe you, but you know how people are, especially in flat Earth. They're like, I can prove they're a shill, and then there's no proof ever.
I kept it under my stuff folder because I actually moved it. Initially, it was under a flat Earth reference, and then it finally went to stuff because, stuff I'm never really going to use. One of the first emails he sent to me was March 21st, 2015.
Let's hear it.
Another one. No, I don't want to read it right now. But no, let me give you the summary. No, because I hate reading his letter, his stuff, because he doesn't. I don't care what he says. He does not write well.
All right, let's vote. Who wants to have you read it?
Let me just.
Was it in all caps?
I will read it to you guys off air, and then you guys can determine what you want to do. But he basically said this before he came out to visit me. He told me, he goes, okay, remember, you guys know part of this, where people were contacting me at that point saying, my first interviews were because Matt wouldn't. It's kind of like how I got one of my early girlfriends. Is somebody calling me and say, hey, I'd like to date your friend. And then my friend didn't want to date him. And so it's like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, okay, so we'll date. That's what happened with Matt. People were emailing me saying, and that's a blow to the ego, saying, hey, you're into flat Earth, right? Yeah. Do you know how to get hold of Math Powerland? It's like, oh, fine. But the thing was, Matt told me, he goes, do not give my phone number out. And I go, okay, I won't give out your phone number. But they want to talk to you. And he was doing the whole aloof artist thing where he was going, I don't really do interviews. You know that is, he's playing coy for the media, kind of like he could get into it whenever he wanted. So I would tell these people this, and the follow-up question was, we need to talk to somebody about flat Earth. Are you willing to talk about it? Yes, I am. Okay. And that after about the first 6, what do you think happened? I mean, they knew it's like, oh, this guy will talk about flat Earth. So then they didn't ask for him anymore. And that's how everything started rolling. So once he saw that, his tone changed, and he emailed me, and again, they're in there, and he says, he basically dictating, kind of like Eric was. Eric, when he first got a hold of me through his minions, says, okay, you can't talk about Crow 777 anymore, and you can't bring up the flat and stationary Earth map by Orlando Ferguson. But Matt was a different tack. Matt says, okay, here's what I want you to say in your interviews. What? Yeah, that was literally it. And the big thing goes, you got to start attacking the Catholic Church. And I'm going, dude, okay, one, I don't know you, so I don't know why you're asking me to do this. Plus, they're my interviews. So
does he attack the Catholic Church himself?
Yeah, the whole Jesuit thing. That's his big focus.
All right. But didn't he go to a Jesuit school? Boy, this is all convoluted.
Yeah.
He does try to shame Jaron by saying he went to a Jesuit school. Wow.
So at that point, here's what happened. So at that point, I mean, and the emails again, there's 5 or 6 of them where I'm just backpedaling. I'm going, okay, I can't really. I was trying to be nice, and then there was this email exchange where I said, look, I will, and he knows, he's quoted me several times, where I said, I will do this alone if I have to. I don't. If Eric wants something, you want something, I don't want anything. I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. So I don't need this. And then he started playing nice again, and the next thing you know, he left me what I thought, I don't think I'm wrong, a phone call from Denver. He was already in Denver at that, but a few days later. And I just blew him off. Yes, I did. But at the same time, I wasn't talking.
Did you know he was coming? Or
no, I didn't know. Nothing was confirmed at all. Nothing. And at the very least, and here's where things changed, why he brings this up 2 years later. Turns out he never flew to Denver, and he had never any intention of buying a loft because he was broke. He was escaping Canada, and he was down in Tampa. He drove from Florida to Denver, hoping to crash on my couch, but didn't tell me that. And so that's why he felt hurt. He got to Denver, and he was stuck. I don't know who he stayed with when he was in Denver, but it wasn't
why
me.
2 years later has he decided to say this? That's just
He's
weird.
got nothing else on me. There's nothing else to say bad about me.
It seems to be like a pretty common thing in Flat Earth to wait a period of time and then reveal some big secret about somebody that isn't even true because you want to attack them. When if it were true, you would have revealed revealed that 2 years ago or however many months ago.
He has hardly anything, you know me. I mean, what are you going to go after me? He's like, oh, well, Mark believes in science fiction from a gaming standpoint. Same thing that Eric was doing. Like, you don't have anything on me.
Yeah, I mean, you do. So, yeah.
So I stood you up. That's really? That's the big thing. I stood you up, really? 2 years ago?
You know, you've met with flat earthers. I mean, me, and you didn't stand me up. You were there at the airport.
I go multiple flat earth mixers. I don't stand people up. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to hang out with a guy that seems to be trying to tailor whatever I'm supposed to do on interviews. It's like you can't ask.
Why was he feeling that it was okay to tell somebody else how they should conduct interviews? Because he started flat earth in his mind?
And it's like, I'm the guru, therefore you should follow my lead.
Yeah, it's a dominance thing. It's just a bravado thing.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to assert your authority quickly. And by saying to Mark, this is how you should conduct yourself, it's like saying, I'm the leader, you're the follower.
And so at that point, it's like, okay. I mean, again, had we spent some time together, I would have been in that sort of position where I would have been okay, but I wouldn't have done the Jesuit thing because it didn't make any sense to me. For me, I understood the purity of flat Earth, which is there's no biases, there's no demographics you should attack. It's flat Earth and flat Earth only, and flat Earth related.
A question then, Mark, because
I'm
sure you do read your comments, right? So you must have had your fill of people saying things like, "You're not calling out the Jews, you're not calling out the Jesuits, you're not calling out." I mean, is there a long list? Is there a short list?
Hang on, you just made a globalist comment. You said, "I assume you read your comments." Mark, I assume you don't read any of your comments.
Me too.
I avoid my comments whenever possible. Anyone that knows, and I date stamp this sucker. I literally did not turn on the comments for 6 months after I started making videos. All of them were gone, and then I turned them all on simultaneously, only at the request of Jonathan, because Jonathan was like, "Oh, you got to let them fight. You got to let people fight in the comments."
Do you read your comments?
Rarely. And in fact, the only time I even glance at comments.
Reads every comment.
Who?
Nathan reads every comment twice.
You've heard me say this. Look, I have to have some sort of ego at the end of the day. I can't read comments. Are you kidding? I would have killed myself.
Very healthy. I read all my comments and I try to respond to everybody. But then again, my channel is not as big as yours, so it's easier. But it does get harder and harder as the numbers go up.
Mark, the video you and I did together, it only has wonderful comments on it. It's amazing. Not one bad comment. It's amazing how that happens.
Give moderator power to a mystery person who went in and like today. Well, I will blow out comments, but only a few, and only because they're so out of place. Like there was a guy that was screaming that the paddleball, like the paddleball video I did today, was screaming that the paddleball image was his intellectual property and he was going to sue everybody. And I was looking at his channel and going, he's not a flat earther. He only does pro-America videos. He hasn't done a video in 4 years. So how did this map of his get out there? And so, I killed that because it's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly.
That's his image? He feels he owns it, or this?
But this guy said that he owns that image. I'm going, not from what I can tell.
This is everywhere.
Also, you can't copyright a map projection. The layout, the map projection's been around forever, and it's in Wikipedia.
I've been using that image all the time. It's in my book.
But I've seen people do that anyway. I've seen people post on just other thing. It's like you're using my intellectual property on a Q&A video that I just what you don't. If they wanted you, they could have emailed you directly. Why would you ever post that in comments?
Exactly. That is true too. If it's posted in comments, it's just a level of trolling. A new level of trolling.
The short version is, why Matt is bringing up me not meeting him in Denver 2 years ago is obvious. And that is he's trying to find anything he can use to attack everybody in the community. You guys think I'm kidding? Go to the NASA channel and click on channels. It is nothing but cobwebs and dryer lint. There's nothing in there. It is empty. He has never subscribed to anybody. He never. Oh yeah, no. I don't care. And in fact, there's the interesting part. Remember, he put that safe list. It's like, here's my short list of everybody that I trust, right, in the community. And there's like we haven't even heard of. But yet he doesn't subscribe to any of those channels.
Rory Cooper he put, but Rory Cooper's not making videos anymore, and he's not even subbed to Rory Cooper. And to me, Rory Cooper's a fantastic content maker. There were a couple other people he put on that list, literally like you said, I'd never heard of before. Maybe they're awesome too, but they're the safe list. So So that means we have Math Powerland and a couple other channels, a couple who don't even make videos anymore.
Let me take one more parting thing.
It's like Eric, when he was asked in the interview with Eddie Bravo, what channels do you recommend? And silence.
Nothing. He even took a shot at the Today video. That one's out there, David. You can watch that one. He even took a shot at, God, why do I keep forgetting his name? The Unsilent Majority. He even took a shot at him without saying his name.
I thought that guy was his, supporter,
well,
big time supporter.
Remember at the end of the video when he kept talking about, the person that defended me, right? And, and that was this guy. And he was suspicious of the person that defended him because Matt doesn't need defending. So why should you come to defend me? He played it like, it's like, dude, he was the only guy who would interview you.
That's something I do know something about. Sorry to interrupt. So that guy did another video today that basically said, I'm done with it. I don't want to associate with Flat Earth. I appreciate that the Earth is flat, but I don't want anything to do with this drama. I've got businesses associated with this stuff that I do. I'm into video production. I don't need any of this. Basically declared, I'm done with what I put as the quotation Flat Earth. He's done with all that.
It'll take him a while to come back, but he went too far. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to spend 3 hours backing Matt in an interview, interviewing him and his wife." And then at the end, he realized that there was no alliance formed there.
And he did some other stuff with them too. And he did a couple of videos following that. I don't know if they're still up. I think he took one of them down. That's really sad that he put his neck on the line. I don't really know the guy. He also did another couple of videos where he was sort of negative about you and I. But there's a song by the Kinks with a line in it. It's called Destroyer, and the liner is paranoia, need destroyer, paranoia.
That's one of their best songs.
It's a really good song. And really what's happened to Math is paranoia. I don't think he's destroying himself. He still has lots of subscribers and lots of people who like him and appreciate him for opening their mind to Flat Earth, et cetera, et cetera. But he's destroying his reputation in a way on Flat Earth. Even if he's kept subscribers, because people will retain that loyalty to the first person who turned him on as a Flat Earther into the information. If anybody goes to Math now and just sees this kind of craziness, it will be hard for them to figure out what he's talking about. Go ahead.
The only way he can recover at this point is to, and you know what I'm going to say, Patricia, is tell what remains of the story, right? The only reason I brought him up literally in the first clue. I mentioned him in probably 70 or 80 interviews already where I've told the story, and he will not tell it. We know there's something wrong with it, and he won't go into it.
He did a long time ago when his girlfriend filmed it, and then he told a different version of that story in a recent video. The recent video that got taken down. It was a slightly skewed version of the story, a little bit of a different version. But then again, we all tell stories and then remember some details and forget others. I mean, I've told stories a little bit two different ways, but they're basically the same story. So,
my point is that, if you believe in fate, it was always going to go down this way. Because even if Matt would have said, "Oh yeah, I'll give you my phone. You can give my phone number out to these interviews," they would have gone to him and they would have said, that they would have asked him to tell the story. Everyone does. That's the thing. It's like, tell us about the NASA thing, the whole NASA intrigue. And they would have asked him, and he would have said, "No, I don't want to talk about it," just like he did with you.
Before the interview I did, he said that's the one thing he won't talk about. So I honored it.
That is your bread and butter. Literally is your bread and butter.
And then what happened with FEA, Flat Earth A-hole? And he came out with a Facebook post that said, "Math Powerland told me that he never worked for NASA." Now, FEA never took that back, and it was on his face.
He didn't, and unfortunately, it corroborates one of Mac's ex-girlfriends, the
who
Flat
said
Earth
the same thing. And a few other people said, yes, anybody who gets close to Math finds out that is the actual truth.
Yeah. So what's the real story?
Now,
Are we ever?
This is gossip that we're talking about, kind of, but not really, because it's all been said on YouTube for anybody to watch. It's not like we're trying to destroy people. These are just things that people have been doing lately.
Look, you know my take on this. Look, the man has had so many chances to just be nice, be focused, be coherent.
People are who they are.
And he's bitten at us every single time with the same attitude, which is, I don't need you. The whole, I started this, I should be able to be autonomous. I don't need you, therefore you don't exist to me. And
he told people that that on one of my shows with D Murphy 25 that I recommended feeding blood to babies, which I never did. That's a crazy assumption, and he put it all over his Facebook and took it down eventually.
Blood babies, you know.
He took it down eventually, but he never retracted. He never apologized. And I think that's what he does. He goes ahead and says horrendously wrong things. Let's just call them what they are, lies, and never retracts, lets the damage be done, and then moves on. People just say, oh, he's an artist. He's a tortured artist. He's a tortured soul. That's how math is. You know, there comes a time when that is not going to fly.
No. And my hope for Jake after that whole thing, I mean, that was, even though it was only a few days ago, that train wreck, not Jake being a train wreck, but the whole Matt-Jake relationship thing. I hope Jake feels nothing but flat earth love on this trip. I hope that everywhere he goes, he feels what I feel when I do some of the social things, which is just a room full of people that could not be more excited to be talking with other. It's not even just that you're there. It's just
he's getting so many people to meet up with him that have no idea that there's flat earthers right next to them.
Yeah,
right.
True.
A guy it's different for us because not everybody, but a lot of people know who we are, you know. Right. So they're reaching out to us. Like I met with a guy today, took me out to lunch, and him and his father discovered the flat earth a couple months ago due to our shows and whatnot. And I talked to him. The guy just knows everything that we know. He's fucking caught up. It was amazing.
Cool.
And and he lives literally, you know, I don't know, 15 miles, 20 miles from me. Yeah. So it's Jake's coming here. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot of people that are going to just come out of the woodwork.
Oh yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. At least 90% of the flat earthers out there are closet cases.
Right.
There's so many flat earthers. I mean, that little poll that they took during the D Marble interview aside, it is literally a flat earth army out there. But you can't tell who they are. There's no badges. There's no stickers in the back.
Badges. We need stickers.
We need something.
I have car stickers.
It's a good idea. Steven, what were you going to say? I know we've been blah, blah, blah.
Don't let Steven talk.
I don't know. I feel the same way kind of about Eric Dubay as Matthew Powerland. You know, it's like it's been a while since they've kind of I don't know, really added anything new.
Eric gave us a good 6-minute video last week. I put it on my Facebook wall and I made a nice comment, and Eric actually commented on my wall saying thank you.
Yeah, I saw in IFRS, somebody sent me a screenshot from IFRS where it said that Patricia gave me a favorable comment on one of my videos, the one called How to Quit Your Slave Job, and I blocked her so she can never comment again. I gave a great comment. I'm saying it was a good video.
He's divisive. He was in a chat. I forget what show he was in the chat on, and he was saying something about someone being a shill and be Jew or whatever. And I said, I'm a Jew. Does that make me a shill? You know? And I said, can I be a? No, I said, can I be a shill too? And he goes, well, you are Jewish, you know? And I fucking laid into him.
I mean, again, you know my take on Eric, which
I'm with you, Steven, 100%. He fucking adds nothing and causes division.
Eric makes great videos, but
they're not even that great. His fucking subtitles suck. He can't see them.
All right.
He's like you and your thing. He has a lot of type in there, and he doesn't give you enough time to read it. Everyone has to stop his fucking videos.
All right.
He might as well.
I agree. I agree. What I'm saying is that look, I personally watched his work bring down a Netflix production meeting. Just kill it literally in 2 minutes, and it's like, that's bad. Now a lot has happened between then and now.
Well, explain that for those who if it's does
everyone know? Producers have been. Look, this is not a big shock to anybody. Look, producers have been looking at flat Earth for a long time now. They look at trends all the time. They see the numbers that are out there. This thing just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's like a train with buses on top of it now. And they were initially going to do a pitch. I helped make some of the flash reels for it as what I could. And they took it to a meeting, and literally one of the interns there popped up flat Earth. Oh, cat sighting. Popped up flat Earth. And one of the first people that showed up at the top of the list was Eric Dubay. They cross-referenced him. They found the I Love Hitler video, and that was it. It was over. It's like, sorry, we don't want to associate. If he is one of the main spokespeople, we don't want to be tied to this. It's like, killing me. So now the community is much, much larger, much broader. The demographics are all over the place.
Matt
so
totally
now
called that. Sorry to interrupt. So the first, I I begged and pleaded to interview Math, sort of. I sort of said to him, you've got to get your information out more, because at the time he just wasn't doing interviews. And eventually he said, okay, I'll do an interview with you. And one of the first things he did, he described that Hitler thing as like a dusty old book that Eric had just pulled off the shelf and blown the dust off and perpetuated this horribleness to tarnish flat Earth. So Math totally called that.
True.
Well, I mean,
But-
it did slow things down a bit.
But now he's basically saying IPS is a Jew. But you know what the thing is if he's got no problems with Jews, who cares? I mean, I'm not saying he is one or isn't one, but I'm saying, why would you mention IPS being
Why
a
would
Jew?
you mention IPS being a Jew?
Yeah.
IPS, I have to respect the guy because, like,
Me too.
I talked to him about his flat Earth raids, and I said, hey, you got to go thumbs up. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. And then today I was listening to him, and he's like, you know what? Someone's like, he's reading in the comments. Someone's like, I like everything you do, and he goes, I like most of the things you do. And IPS goes, yeah, I don't like everything I do. Sometimes I make mistakes, and then I learn from them, and I don't do them anymore. I'm like,
Refreshing.
That's pretty good. That's very refreshing.
Sorry, did
that's
you
good.
say IPS is a Jew?
Look, I mean, he's done a lot of amazing things, and for me, he is like the immediate solution for the idle hand problem, which we've had for months now, which is
Right.
the troops are restless, they're looking for targets to go after, and he steps in. It's like, I'll give you some targets to go after, let's go.
He's got some great ideas and some kind of dumb ideas, and they're all
he listens to other
good.
people. I love his wordsmithing. He just has such a way of like making up names and you can ask him, like, I threw in a comment one day. I said, are you a fucking robot? Because he was like on for like 24 hours, and then he went on for another 8 hours in the same day. And his comment was, he goes, well, no, he goes, actually, there's 3 of me, and we take 8-hour shifts each. And then he just went he just moved. That's it. He just moved on, and he says it in such a nice way. Like, I can't talk as nice as he does. I'm more of a condescending prick. So.
I would be real careful if anyone's thinking about going up against this guy, because tactically, I haven't seen someone like that in a long time, and definitely not in the flat Earth.
He's well spoken.
Yeah.
He is not the thing that people who are Christian are disliking, that he is not wanting anybody to talk about religion. But he does say, I'm not against religion. Worship on your own time, whomever you wish to worship. I'm all for it. But when we're talking about flat Earth and getting it to mainstream, we should keep it in this neutral category, where then people will, after they find flat Earth, maybe come to God, the God of their choice, the belief that they have on their own. Afterwards, they'll realize it's a creation. But putting it in there will cut off a large percentage of people who don't happen to be Christian, or don't happen to be Muslim, or don't happen to be Jewish, or whatever. And I do definitely get that. I get it. That doesn't mean I'm against anybody's religion. It's just
he's definitely not going to win any religious award of the year trophies by any stretch. But he was smart. He realizes, you know what? I'm going to be decisive, and I'm not going to ride the fence ever. I'm not going to play that kind of politics. So it's like, I'm going to go with the secular camp. That's what I'm going to stick with and do it well.
It's like if you get a new house and you want to put in drapery, you don't put in hot pink with purple dot drapery. You put in something neutral, and that way anything can go with it. And so what he's doing with the religion thing is putting in something neutral, so anybody can easily walk in, understand the concept of flat Earth, and then later decorate it with whatever their religion is.
I might have said this to you guys before, but I've been wanting to do a billboard for almost 2 years now. I told IPS about it, and 2 weeks later it's up.
Right.
Yeah. The guy, like, it makes me feel like I'm a piece of shit, but because he's just doing shit.
Well,
I don't know. I love it. Now there's 5 other billboards being funded.
Yeah, but Math is saying it's his idea. He had it a long time ago and mentioned it.
Idea it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And by the way, it was my idea.
And it's who does it is the key. It's who does the idea.
It's the do. It's the doing.
Yeah.
You can talk and talk.
And he
doing
says,
stuff
he was
is
talking
what
about, he
matters.
plugged my billboard today. He's like, this one is pushing you towards a specific search video versus Research Flat Earth, which brings you to some it brings you to Flat Earth Society. It brings you, luckily there's enough Flat Earth shit there that people will bump into it. But if you search A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, it looks like you're about to kiss Patricia on my screen, Steven. Back up a little bit. I thought you were going in for a kiss there. I'm like, that's bold. That's bold.
That's funny.
But it's a great search term because it brings you there. It brings you to Marty Leeds. It brings you to his 24/7 feed, and I'm excited to get up. I got to roll because I'm going live with ODD. I think in a couple minutes.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Got to grab him. All right.
We want to watch that.
Yeah,
You'll
we
get a
all-
notification.
It's on his channel?
Most likely. We're talking first. I'll shoot you a link here or something. if we go.
Yeah. All right, and I'll share it.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.
Let me take some parting things at the IPS thing. He is, in my opinion, he is an excellent field commander. He knows how to mobilize assets, and he's good at it. He's real good at it. And there's a saying. I don't want to do too many military references, and that is whether you go left or you go right, and even if you change directions, do it confidently. And that's what he's always doing. There's no wavering. It's all okay. Let's do this. And then he'll kind of think about it. You can hear his wheels turning, and he's done some fun things. I mean, yeah, the raid stuff had a little bit of a backlash, and he got one strike for it, but that's not because of the raid. It was because it worked so well that one of the targets just lost her mind.
Right.
She's like she was tracking us down, going, "What the heck's happening?" And he did something which I had never seen before. Which we did one of the raids, and you probably saw this, Patricia. One of the guys that got hit was there was a new reality coming into him, and he didn't know what to make of it. Meaning, he actually was smart and savvy enough to go backwards and okay, who's doing this? Who's organizing this? Going back to IPS's channel that was still running live, and he sees there's 500 people in there. And up until that point, when he got in there, he thought it was like 3 or 4 guys with multiple accounts just doing
drunk
this
guys or
stuff.
something.
And he goes in there, and you hear me said it out loud. He was thinking out loud, going, "Wait, there's 500 people. That can't be real. There can't actually be 500 people in there that are doing this," because he realized that those sort of numbers are unstoppable. Even for just, it's only 500 people, but 400 people mobilized for a simple raid. There is no defense against that. You can overwhelm 10 moderator. There's no way they can get to you fast enough. And it was a great week.
I like what IPS is doing, and people say, "Oh, I get emails occasionally saying you need to stay away from him. He's satanic. He blocks everybody." And I said that I like what he's doing. If he starts doing things I don't like, then I might change my mind. Of course, I'm not locked into promoting IPS. I also like what Dell is doing with his street interviews. He interviews people on the street and has taught others how to do it in a way that isn't just coming up and saying the Earth's flat. It's kind of getting at them sideways, and it is really effective. And so those are 2 people who I know they're not new in the flat Earth. They've been around, but they've definitely bubbled up to the top more recently and got a lot of traction. And they both definitely deserve props. And meanwhile, we've got Eric still making videos, Matt still making videos, but becoming less and less relevant. And I see that as, because of the bad things they've done, being a good thing.
Yeah. Well, that and Eric, of course, condemning the conference, Matt condemning those 2.
They both are condemning the conference. They say everybody in it's a shill.
Yeah.
And they were both invited.
Everybody else brings something to the table. And yes, we all fly our own flags. Dell does the man in the street thing, and he teaches some fantastic one-on-one tactics. Great, fantastic, because nothing's lost there because it's broadcast. It would be a shame if he did it and didn't record it. It didn't put it on his channel or just talked about it. The fact that he breaks it down is fantastic. It's not as an instructional, but it comes off as that when you're watching him do it, which is fantastic.
And you can see the people that he's talking to, like the light bulb go on, and I want to do that. I've done it a little bit, but I've never had that, I've never had that. You have to have some confidence. It's not that you need to know the material. You've got to have the confidence, even if you know the material, to go out there alone, and do it. So.
Walking up to people in the street, we've all done it. Look, you get dodged. People look at you funny. They bark at you. It's never fun, but he found a way through his personality and his tactics to pull it off. It's great. Happy for him.
Yeah. So that is good news. There's other people doing good things. And all the main people that were here originally are, for the most part, still here. So it's building up pretty nicely. But the drama as of late, please. Look at that beautiful girl.
So one thing that I was looking at actually during the show that was looking kind of interesting to me, a little bit coincidental.
Which show?
Our show right now.
Oh, this is a show?
Yeah, Nathan, you bastard.
Okay.
Um,
I'm going to go into
The-
incognito mode and put
the
my...
summer solstice of the 22nd of June this month just so happens to coincide with the last slit of the moon before it goes into the alignment, and then after that it goes back in the other direction. You know what I mean?
No, explain it again.
No.
No. Okay. So right now the sun is approaching the moon 15 degrees per day, 15 degrees of the 360-degree circle, and eventually it'll get to the point where the moon is just a slit, and that is the 22nd. That is the summer solstice. So right after that it goes into alignment, and then it goes back into the other direction towards the south the next day.
And what does that tell us?
I think it's just kind of interesting. It's like it seems to me to be some sort of motor, that resets.
Oh, well, that kind of goes with things that Mark said, with a system that's sort of mechanized in a way.
Well, I think that everything sort of fluctuates and has patterns to it, cycles.
You think about a system, if this is a mechanized system using natural features,
Right.
cars break, things break, human body wears down. Does the system ever break and wind down?
No, you can have multiple redundancy built in. Plus, you got to remember, civilization is only going to go 4 or 5 millennia. So you can do. I'm not saying I know exactly what's going on. I'm just saying that after 4 or 5 millennia, you can no different than airplane parts. As long as there's nobody in the system between civilizations, you can make adjustments, repairs.
Change
whatever.
the stage set.
How hard would it be? Remember, 4 or 5 versions back, we had Pangea, the supercontinent. Everybody knows that. Even mainstream science will tell you that. So when did the
we
continent
used to
spread
be
out?
a lot taller, supposedly, and then we got a lot smaller, and now we're getting taller again.
Yeah. If you miniaturize stuff, think of how much more beings you can fit in a system. No different than how we've been miniaturizing electronics for years. So, but yeah, things break, sure. But don't worry about the breaking as much as the compensating for things we're already doing. How many internal combustion engines does it take firing up before the system has to compensate? How many projects like HARP and CERN or cell towers have to be put in place before the system has to compensate? No different than putting in, if you you have your car and your air conditioning system running, you bring in a propane lantern and crank that thing up. How long before your air conditioning system starts fighting with it? That's kind of a crude example,
I agree.
but that's...
I was talking about this yesterday, I think, with Haunted House, and saying that the Earth finds its own equilibrium. And you see this in plants. If you've got an excessive amount of CO2, the plants all thrive. Well, therefore, you find that you've got more oxygen being produced. Therefore, you find an equilibrium. And the same applies with your air conditioning example. If you're going to pump in more heat, unless you haven't got air conditioning, but, providing your system has air conditioning, it will eventually kick in and find another equilibrium. Just
like
life
the
finds
body.
a way.
The human body will, if there's something that's an invader in there, the blood cells will go to destroy, or they'll wall it off with a tumor, adapt, and life finds a way. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but then you've got the is it Men in Black? No, it's Matrix, isn't it? Where we're described as a cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to quote you that line? Well, that's part of where I got the animal reference, which was every other species in this planet develop a natural equilibrium with its surrounding environment, but humans do not. Humans just multiply, and they multiply and use up every other resource until there's nothing left, and then the only way they can survive is to move to another region. But I took that in a different way, which I said...
There is another species that follows this
pattern. Yeah. Joyce, a virus.
A virus.
Human beings are a cancer of this planet, a plague.
Or termites. We're also the only creature that's got to pay to live in this world, which is another thing that seems all wrong too.
Yeah, the whole human beings, the animal thing, we just don't like confinement. People keep asking me, it's like, why would you hide it? Why would you hide it? Because if we didn't hide it, that's all people would care about. Everything would change. Religion, economics, academics, everything would be focused on the fence. All anyone would do, the churches would be built next to the fence, literally. I
would love to see that happen in my lifetime.
So
I'd love to see.
I've got to agree.
We all do.
There's something that I found myself going to today, and it comes back to the chemtrail thing, where I was trying to explain it in my mind, and I found myself going to the only place I could, which was the Truman Show. And we're talking about changing sets, and that's pretty damn accurate when you think about what's going on above your head. They're messing with our very existence, like on a stage. You know, it is genuinely smoke and mirrors with our actual surroundings. When you talk about chemtrails, it's pretty crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's like what they're doing isn't as obvious as if people, you know, the curtain goes down and then they change the set, and instead of outdoors now it's inside someone's home. They're doing it like when you see a play, a big time production play, where they slightly change the lights, and it was blue before and now it's pink, but because they did it gradually, you don't really notice, but it does change the feel of things. That seems to be what they're doing with the skies. They've been spraying them all this time. Now they're actually coming out and admitting that they're starting to do it, but they've been doing it all this time. And they, like was said earlier in this conversation, I'm not sure if it was it this conversation where it's been in children's books that they're changing pictures and including, or children's movies, they're inserting chemtrails into the scenery, like, you know, movies that have already been made, they're putting chemtrails as if that's just how life is, because when we were young, that's not what the skies looked like.
Yeah, it was Mark, you said about them actually putting chemtrails into remastered versions. That's outrageous.
No, that was David. That was David.
Yeah, David. It was David, right.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, it is outrageous.
No worries. But it goes into something I've been kind of looking at for a while, which is they're trying to get ready, kind of like before Act 2 and Act 3, when you see stagehands doing stuff behind the scenes, but Act 2 is still kind of going on, but you see kind of guys moving around because they got to get ready, because they know as soon as the curtain goes down, they've got to haul ass and finish some stuff. I think that's what they're doing. Everyone's prepping for Act 3, which we're patiently waiting for in the community. So
Act 3, wow.
Act 3.
Flat Earthers usher in Act 3.
Ooh, that's good. I unfortunately do have to do some stuff yet tonight. Is there any other shots and stuff? Nathan, whatever you want to do with it, that's fine. I mean, yeah, we
Good time to round out, I'd say. What do you think?
Did we say anything too scandalous? So you're really going to air this?
No, not at all. Not at all.
We didn't say anything scandalous. just gossip like women with handbags.
Everyone stop fighting. How about that?
Well, this way we officially did not talk about gossip during Patricia's show, because that was the anti-gossip show, but
right.
Totally could do it on this.
Okay.
It's been good fun.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Stephen, especially because you were dead against broadcasting any of this. So thank you so much for letting me. I'm really, really grateful.
Is that your roommate or friend that's over there right now, Stephen? Oh, your mic's off.
Yes.
Yes. I saw him like taking a tray full of food. I'm like, nice roommate.
Nice seeing you, Stephen, and Nathan, and Patricia, and David Weiss, who I secretly hate. He's on another show. He won't watch this anyway.
All right.
Yeah,
See you guys later.
See you all later.
See you.
And to all of you who've watched us live, thank you very much for joining us live. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment below once it's finished uploading. I've been Nathan Oakley. I'll see you all in the next video.
Yes.